welcome back to another episode of A Better Way of Earning, where work, life, and money get real. I am your host, Dr. Michelle S. Thomas, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you've been listening throughout this season, you've probably noticed that every episode has been building on the one before it. We've challenged outdated beliefs about success, talked about career capital, explored leadership, and discussed financial freedom. Why money should serve your purpose instead of becoming your purpose. And after talking about financial freedom, purpose, leadership, and career capital, today I want to bring us to something that may not sound exciting at first, but it may be one of the most powerful forces behind lasting success. Today, we're going to talk about consistency. Now, I know consistency is not flashy or sexy. It usually does not go viral, and most people do not stop to celebrate the small decisions they repeat every day. We as people tend to celebrate the visible breakthrough, the promotion, the six-figure business, the award, the championship, but we rarely see the quiet decisions that made most of those moments possible. And that's what I want to explore today. Because I believe one of the greatest advantages you can build in your career has nothing to do with being the smartest person in the room. It has everything to do with becoming someone people can count on. Let's discuss the public playbook. The public playbook tells us that success happens overnight. It teaches us to celebrate the moment someone makes it, but it rarely shows us the years of preparation, discipline, disappointment, adjustment, and quiet repetition that came before said moment. Success can look sudden from the outside, but most of the time it is built slowly through choices no one sees, habits nobody ever applauds, and commitments that keep showing up long before the results become visible. Today's success blocker is something I feel almost all of us have experienced at one time or another: the motivation trap. It shows up when we convince ourselves that we need to feel motivated before we take action. We tell ourselves, I'll start Monday. I'll start after the vacation. I'll start when life settles down. I'll start when I'm ready. But my friends, if we continue to wait until motivation feels convenient, we may keep delaying the very habits that could change our direction. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline creates momentum, and consistency creates results. Let's talk about the consistency compound. Small actions repeated consistently create growth that may seem slow at first, but becomes powerful over time. Reading 10 pages a day, learning one new skill a month, saving a small amount consistently, building one professional relationship each week, or improving 1% at a time may not feel life changing in the moment, but together those decisions begin to compound. And this is not just a theory. I've seen this principle show up in my own life and work. Some of the things people notice now were built through decisions that felt ordinary at the time. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur is that people often notice the harvest, but they do not always see the planting. They see the best selling book, but not the nights I spent writing when no one knew that the book would ever exist. They see a scent, but not the decades of experience that helped me to recognize the need for something different. They see the podcast, but not the years spent speaking, coaching, consulting, listening, failing, growing, and learning. That is why I want to encourage anyone who feels like their progress is hidden right now. Just because people cannot see the growth yet does not mean growth is not happening. Some seasons are for building roots before the fruit becomes visible. And that, I just want to pause about harvesting. This summer, three of my grandbabies came to spend the summer with us, Gigi and Papa. And prior to them arriving, I took time out to build a planter, and I did this on purpose. I wanted to teach them at a very young age about the joys of caring for something outside of themselves, right? And so in the planter, when they got here, we planted tomatoes, bell pepper, lavender, basil, and some strawberries. Now, give you something to laugh about. My son, when he got back home from bringing them from Texas, he poignantly let me know that this was not strawberry season. So, okay, note to self. But anyway, we planted these things, and when they arrived, they were so excited to see these little buds, right? Well, just today, before I recorded this, we went outside and we checked on our plants. And this is a daily job of theirs before they go to bed is we have to go out and check on our babies and our plants to make sure that they're okay. We have to water them, we have to fertilize them, we have to keep them healthy in order for them to produce the harvest. And so just today, we went out there and to watch my granddaughters be so excited because we went from a little less than a month ago just having one little tomato that I'm gonna tell you, I prayed over this little tomato like Jesus, please let this tomato not only grow but really turn into a tomato because my fear was that I was trying to bring this great lesson to my grandchildren and that me, a non-gardener, would fail in the process. But okay, so the first tomato, it survived, praise God. But today, just a little over a month later, my granddaughters was so excited to count 30 other tomatoes coming on our tomato plant. And we've harvested some of the basil and I've made some pesto out of it. But this whole process, again, I'm telling you this because this whole process not only was a learning experience for them for the summer, but it also was a learning experience for me because it taught me patience. And I'll be transparent. Patience is not one of my virtues. It never has been. It's not my skill set, but I'm working on it. And going every day to nurture this garden has taught me to have patience, but it also reduced my anxiety that usually comes, especially when I'm building new projects. I get not only just excited, but I get stressed about the outcome and all the processes and what I need to do to build this and do I have the right people in place, which creates anxiety within me. This garden has eased that anxiety within my business life, believe it or not. But again, I tell you this because it is another example of the harvest where people will be able to celebrate. My grandkids, my family, my friends will be able to celebrate all of these tomatoes that we're harvesting. But you, my audience, will understand and experience the planting side of that harvest. Apply that to your business. There are times that you're going to do something, and oftentimes, especially with entrepreneurs, We throw things out there, or a product, or a course, or an idea. And then when we don't receive 10,000 people to flock to it, to buy it, we immediately change courses. Well, instead of overreacting in that space, what I learned is you have to start with a small sample of audience. This is a lesson in your financial planning also, because if you're putting products and services out there in the desperation that you have to have it to return a certain level of money for your business to survive, you're approaching this and creating disappointment for you immediately. Family, friends, followers are that. Their family, their friends, their followers. That doesn't necessarily translate into consumers in your business, but that doesn't mean that you've failed at something. That doesn't mean that your product or your service isn't worth its value. It just means that you have to find the right targeted audience that you can build upon in order for you to achieve the financial goals that you have. So I hope my little side story really helped you, but I felt like it was relevant, especially for what we're talking about today, because had I not been consistent with the care for this garden that I'm growing, we wouldn't be at the level of celebrating those 30 new tomatoes that came off of one plant. So I hope that you can take this little small laughter and small nugget to apply that to anything that you are working towards achieving, because there is a harvest season. All of the plants and all of the seeds that you are putting out there, I promise you. So that brings me to the trust equation. Opportunity follows trust, and trust follows consistency. When people consistently experience you as prepared, dependable, honest, and curious and professional, your reputation begins to open doors before you ever knock on them. It brings your name into rooms where you're no longer in or never have stepped in. It brings recognition of people that may not have ever physically met you, but they know your story and they understand your delivery and your consistency. That is one of the best assets that you can ever give your career, your lifestyle, or your business. Think about the people you have trusted most within your own life. It probably was not because they were perfect. It mostly was because again and again they showed up in a way that you could count on. The same principle applies in business. Companies hire people they believe that they can rely on. Clients return to businesses they can trust. Leaders promote individuals who constantly deliver. Consistency isn't boring. It is one of the most valuable professional skills you'll ever develop. Let's discuss professional interest. Think of every professional interaction as either earning trust or spending trust. Every deadline, meeting, email, and promise becomes a deposit or a withdrawal. Over time, that professional interest compounds and people begin recommending you because of your reputation, not because you are constantly asking for the opportunity. When I look back over my own journey, I realized something that truly surprised me. There was not one decision I could pinpoint that changed everything for me. There were hundreds. Writing when I was exhausted, when I was grieving, when I felt low about my own self, I kept writing. Learning when I did not have to, when nobody forced me to read the book, when nobody put me into a course, or no one had me to sit hours in front of my computer learning a new technology skill or learning a new program. Showing up after many, many, many disappointments, continuing to build even when the progress felt slow. Looking back, those ordinary choices became extraordinary results. And I think that's encouraging because it means success isn't reserved for a select few. It is available, my friends, to those who keep showing up. Before we wrap up today's conversation, I want to invite you again to join our A Better Way of Earning community. One of my favorite parts of this podcast is hearing how these conversations are impacting your life, your career, and your perspective. And the community gives us a place to continue those conversations together. You'll find behind the scenes content, practical resources, discussions inspired by each episode, and opportunities to connect with other professionals who are committed to growing also. This week's discussion question is simple. What is one small habit that has made the biggest difference in your life or career? I'd love to hear your story, and I know others in the community will be encouraged by it also. The link to join us is in today's description. I also would like to invite every listener to the podcast to also tune in to our premiere episode of A Better Way of Earning talk show. It airs Thursday, July 30th at 7 p.m., and the link also would be in the episode description. But our premiere episode is with Dr. Natalie A. Williams. She is the founder and CEO of NAW4 Integrated Business Solutions. And our topic of discussion is managing versus developing people and why that difference matters in today's world. I hope to see you in the community, and I trust that you will join the talk show and listen to our premiere episode. Episodes of the talk show airs every week on Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, I hope to see you there. As we finish today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Do not ever underestimate the power of ordinary days. Success is not built only during life's biggest moments. It is built in the quiet decisions no one ever applauds. The book you finally write, the class you finally take, the conversation you finally have, the money you finally start saving, and the skill that you finally commit to learning. Those moments may seem small today, but over time, they become the very foundation of everything you are building. And that's why consistency matters. Not because it feels exciting every day, but because it quietly shapes the future you are walking towards it. The public playbook may tell you to chase quick success. Your success blockers may convince you that progress is not happening fast enough. But lasting success is rarely built overnight. It is built one decision, one habit, one act of courage, and one day at a time. Thank you for joining me for another episode of A Better Way of Earning. Remember, success is not found in a single breakthrough. It is built through consistent growth that compounds over time. A better way of earning is where work, life, and money come together, helping you to build success on your own terms.